All right, guys, we now welcome on an awesome guest, Bowie, Maryland native, alumni of both the Washington Little Caps and Team Maryland, as well as pretty much every other team in the CBHL, as we just discussed. But 2018 MAPHL runner-up with the DeMatha Stags, now entering his second season in the OHL with the London Knights. Guys, Bryce Montgomery, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, man, so how have things been? I mean, you guys are just now kicking up. I'd imagine you're back up in Canada right now.
Actually, no,
Not
that's
yet.
far from that. We're delayed till January 8th.
Delayed
That's when I
again.
move in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So back home, how long you been home? I'm guessing you spent all of quarantine here. So if you were around the area, where were you training? Where were you getting your workouts in? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So when we first got shut down back in March, I went straight home at Brighton Bowie. I was there the first few months of summer. I was training with Clint with the Black Bears in Piney Orchard.
Mhm.
We had a good skate going on down there. We had a guy in the KHL. We had Sam Anis there. He was skating with us.
Yep.
Few more guys from Youngstown. We were skating. It was a good skate we had going on. And soon after that, my mom lives in Westchester, PA. So I train up there at Iceline where the junior flyers play. I got a coach up there and some good guys who we skated with up there. And I also skate in Newark where the New Jersey Devils play. My power skating coach, he works for the Devils. I skate with him a bit too. But usually, in a normal year, I'd probably be in more places, especially
Mhm.
going into my draft year. I'd probably be somewhere in Toronto training and stuff like that. But just because of the conditions this year, it's pretty limited.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing what I can from home. But now I'm back. I'm back home in Bowie right now. I'm here for these. I've been here these past 2 weeks, just playing. I've been skating at Bowie with Russ, and then I was at Rockville skating with Keegan today. So it's just been, just getting in those reps, staying in shape, doing what I can to be ready for season. But yeah, it's basically what my summer and winter's been like.
Right. Pretty
So
much. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, massive season coming up for you. And we'll get to that here in a bit. But what we like to do with the local guys is kind of start at the beginning. So, like you said, Bowie native. Kind of talk about when you got your start in hockey, first club you played for. I'm assuming it's the Bowie Bruins right there, being from Bowie, which is where me and Bobcat are alumni of. But yeah, give us a whole spiel of when it got going for you.
yeah. So I was just a normal kid in Bowie, growing up, doing whatever, playing different sports and stuff like that. And my dad and my grandmother already had that hockey background. My grandma was a figure skater, and my dad, he was a huge hockey player. Played at St. Mary's, was a two-time All-American there. He still holds the record there for most goals for a defenseman.
Okay.
And yeah, pretty much I they didn't really knew I really wanted to play until I was about 6. So as soon as we got in, he said, like, if you want to play hockey, you got to learn how to skate, right? So he had me with figure skaters. I was doing figure skating lessons about 3 times a week at Bowie, right at Bowie. So I had my figure skater coach. I did that for a year. I still remember I used to do figure skating just for a year before I even started playing hockey. So right after my 6-year-old year of just doing figure skating lessons, I that was my first season with the Bowie Bruins. And yeah, that was just, as a kid, I didn't think much of it. I'm just playing hockey. But looking back at it, that's the start of my career. So
That ice and buoy though, that doesn't compare. You've got to play in some pretty sweet rinks. That ice and buoy holds up pretty well, doesn't it?
oh, every time I come back to
Yeah.
Bowie, I'm just like, this ice is
Right.
crazy.
It's a treat playing at
Yeah,
Bowie, man.
Yeah. Shout out Randy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Shout out Randy there. So, I mean, you started Bowie, and then it's like you were telling us beforehand, you kind of jumped around from club to club every single year. You never did 2 years in a row between clubs. So, kind of tell us each of the clubs you jumped around to and what kind of the decision making behind jumping around from these clubs year after year.
yeah. Well, not at the time. I'm not the type of guy who likes bouncing around place to place in general. I just like staying in my little box.
Mhm.
And it is uncomfortable moving around, meeting new players, being with new teammates every year. But looking back at it, I think it really helped me a lot. Just meet so many new people from different backgrounds, especially in the DMV, and knowing how everything runs. So right after my Bowie year, I went to Metro Maple Leafs and played with Gary Kremen and his team with his son too that year, and that was my 9-year-old season. And right after that season, had a great year. Uh, Played with the Montgomery Blue Devils with Raul Keegan over at Rockville and played there for a year. After that, bounced right into Team Maryland. That was my first AAA year. It was a Pee Wee minor. That was my 12U year. We had a great run, and then me and 6 other guys from that Team Maryland team moved to ISS Kings, and we ended up being the number 2 team in the country for about 3 years. Probably one of the best teams I've ever been on, and probably a crucial role for me in my development through those 3 years with the ISIS Kings. And then after that, the whole team kind of fell apart. So I went back to Virginia, played for the Little Caps, played that year under Tom Morrissey and his son. We had a good season that year. That was my 14U year. And then after that, that's when I went to Team Maryland that next year to play up with the U16 team when I was 15. And that was also my freshman year playing with DeMatha. And then throughout, it's a common trend throughout jumping around. It's the reason I do jump around too. It's just I want to get better experience for me because I feel like I want to play on the best teams I can. So and just bouncing around really helps me a lot just to get that new experience and playing with under different coaches and stuff like that. But after my freshman year at DeMatha, I hadn't gotten offered to play in prep school in Cushing Academy. They were based out of Ashburnham, Massachusetts. It was a fun experience playing in prep school hockey, and that was also the year I was committed to Providence too. And it was fun just having that title under my belt and stuff like that. And it was a quick turnaround from that commitment because I went to made a huge jump to the London Knights the year after.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that for sure. I want to stop for a second and talk about your time at DeMatha. I know you're only there for a year, but you're a freshman. Like, where were you? You 6 foot as a freshman?
I was 6'2", 6'3".
So you're 6'2", 6'3", right-handed shot in the DMV. There had to be multiple suitors on the table, right? Like, was it DeMatha, Gonzaga, MSJ? Like, what kind of went behind your decision-making process on picking DeMatha? And when you went there, did you know that it was going to be a stepping stone? Like, I want to make sure I don't word that poorly. You know, DeMatha is one of the best, if not the best high school program in the area, but you match that up against prep schools and things like that. Like, kind of take us through that process if you don't mind, Bryce.
Yeah, for sure. I remember that year too, because I have a late birthday. So I'm an 02. So I was a year behind than the rest of the 02s. So all my 02 friends, they were already there in their freshman year when I was in 8th grade. Every kid in the DMV was like, "Oh, where are you going? You going? Which private school are you going to? Just for hockey?"
Right.
I got at Spalding, Gonzaga.
Cutthroat MAPHL, baby.
Yeah, exactly. MSJ.
Your dad played NCAA hockey and he let you have a late birthday?
Yeah, actually, he was D3, but he still played. He was in the NCAA program. But yeah, I honestly, I'm thankful for the late birthday. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And was it an easy decision to go to DeMatha?
Yeah, I had it came down to the main schools were Spalding and DeMatha, but honestly, I really liked DeMatha as a whole. Like I just knew everybody there, and it was 10 minutes, 15 minutes from my house, right there in Hyattsville, and I just thought I'd have a blast playing there. I loved the coach, Tony McCullough, all props to him. He was a great coach for me that year, but I just thought it'd be awesome to play there.
They do. I mean, they've been doing it for a while. They have a pretty comprehensive schedule for a high school team. They travel a lot. So props, like you said, to Tony and DeMatha program there. Sorry, coach.
Yeah, Tony's a hell of a coach. Briefly talk about a little bit him a little bit more. I mean, he's obviously well known in the area, has coached some pretty high levels. Kind of talk about what he meant towards your development and all.
Yeah, like Tony, he was a coach who knew why I was there, because he knew DeMatha wasn't my priority, respectfully, right? Because I'm playing club hockey too with Team Maryland, and he knows like I was more one of the high-end kids there, and he just knew what he was talking about, right? So he wasn't just a coach I would just brush off like this guy has no idea what he's talking about. He knew hockey, right? He's from Canada, he knows all about that stuff, but he was a great coach for me. I learned a lot of little things from him, and just I think he did help me grow my confidence a lot too. And being one of the only 2 freshman kids on the team, it was just fun playing under him and just having that DeMatha experience. And that's a year I'll never forget, just playing in front of my
DeMatha.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you do 1 year there and you guys make it to the, elusive MAPHL championship. Talk about that game real quick. I mean, obviously it didn't go you guys' way. You lost to Gonzaga, but talk about the experience, the atmosphere there. I mean, That championship game at the Gardens Ice House on a Friday night is nuts.
Yeah, that had to prep you for playing in some of those big rinks up north. That barn gets rocking.
So I still remember that like it was yesterday because I remember just going on the ice for that game and it was just packed. Like I've never seen Laurel. I've been skating in Laurel my whole life and I've never seen Patrick that packed before. I could just see all the DeMatha fans on our side, Gonzaga fans, was packed house Friday night, and I'm just like shaking kind of because I've never played it. I never played in front of that many people before, and the main thing too was that it was right there in my hometown, right? Like just Laurel, Maryland, right there, packed house, two best teams in the league, and I know there's 3 guys on my team from my club team, and 3 guys on on Gonzaga from my club team. My best friends are on the other team. Best friends are on my team. It was awesome, so.
And then the move to Cushing, I mean, like you said, you kind of made it sound like you always knew you're going to go the prep school route up north. But I mean, was that tough? I mean, you're a sophomore in high school and you're just moving all the way up to Massachusetts on your own.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I feel like I took it pretty easier than some other kids would. Just I guess I was used to being away from home because when I was 13, I'd be away from home every weekend for hockey, and I thought it was a blast. Like I just thought, how cool is it for me to just be living on my own, this random school up in the mountains, just playing hockey. And that move to Cushing was mainly just because it was a great summer for me. I made Natty Camp and I committed right after that, and I thought prep school would be the next best step for development for me. And we had great coaches there. It was a great system, and I just wanted to take my hockey there and see what it would provide for me. But I don't regret any decision I've made though with that. So
yeah, and branching off on that, obviously this being a local segment, growing up in Maryland, you're a kid from Bowie. I was a kid from Bowie. Billman's from Southern Maryland, and now you're playing for one of, if not the most recognizable team in the OHL, being the London Knights. I'm familiar with the story. I read up on it, but for our listeners, what was that process like to even end up in London? Like, who was the person you were talking to get you through this? And, what got the pen to paper to get Bryce Montgomery wearing a London Knights jersey?
Right. So one of their main, they have a scout for every district and probably the world. So one of their northeastern scout, who's Billy Sullivan, he scouts all the way throughout Pennsylvania and through the DMV. And he rarely came through our area, but he saw me play with Little Caps when I was 14. He marked me down just as kid for potential. And, he kept watching me throughout the years, and he saw me in Natty Camp too, because Natty Camp was a huge scale for people prospects and stuff like that. So I definitely got a lot more looks there to get me on the radar. But he kept watching me year after year and saying, I think he finally reached out my Team Maryland year, gave me his card and stuff like that. And at that point, like as a kid in the US,
what are you thinking? You got a scout of a major junior team handing you a card. Like, what is going through your head?
Yeah, and it wasn't the first one too. Like I've had other scouts from other teams in the O, but like that's the last thing that's on my mind, just because I'm thinking I'm set. I'm going to play D1 college, right? And I'm fine with that. And I think that's at that time I had a limited mindset to what I could do in hockey and what I wanted to pursue in hockey. So eventually, I ended up talking more and more with Billy during my prep school year at Cushing, and he. At the end of the Cushing season ended in about February. We didn't have any ice or anything. And then he's like, hey, just come up for a mini camp in London, right? Because they had a mini camp scheduled just for all their prospects and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, why not get in some great quality ice before districts? Because I had districts the week after that, which is the tryout for Natty Camp, to go to that. That was my most important year because it was the last year of Natty Camp. So my dad, we drive 8 hours up to London just to get some ice in. My dad just crazy shit like that for me. And we ended up staying in a hotel. I literally went out there thinking, I'm just going to play. I don't even care. Like, I'm not looking to come here. And then they told me after the first skate, they were saying just like, hey, play like that again tomorrow. We're going to give you a contract. Like, we really want you to be able to play here. And at the time, I'm thinking, like, it's the last thing on my mind coming here. Like I didn't think I'd be leaving with a contract offer. So there's a lot of talk in that weekend, just between going up there and just everything on the table, and eventually it turned into signing a few weeks later. So
Would you say that's the moment where it kind of hit you, where you kind of realized like, holy shit, I'm actually really good at hockey and have a chance of doing something with this? Or was it like a different time?
Yeah, I mean, you
Because
said
you
once
got to
you
have
got
that realization at some point.
Yeah, you said you got that commitment under your belt, and you're like, yo, that was nice. That was nice to have. Was it the commit, or was it the transfer over to major junior?
yeah, like throughout all those processes, I'm a humble kid naturally. Like I know my skills without having to show it off or anything like that.
Well, you got that
But
Minnesota nice bred into you.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I just I don't think I ever thought of it like that, because I at the end of the day I know I still have a lot of work to do. I'm not where I want to be yet, and I think that's just a motivator every day for me. Like I'm here, but like so what, right? I'm not done with what I need to do and to be
Listeners, you
successful.
hear that? Turn that up for your kids in the back seat. That's
Yeah, like
refreshing to hear, Bryce. Thank you for sharing, man.
yeah, seriously. Like even I bet a lot of other kids might think I'm at somewhere in my career, and they think, oh, I think I'm the shit, but it's like the complete opposite. Like
So I've
I
got
just
oh, sorry, Bryce, I didn't mean to cut you off, man. Go ahead.
oh yeah, I was just saying that even back when I first committed, I never thought anything highly of it, because
Right.
I was a young kid. I was only 15 when I committed, but I was just forever grateful for that opportunity. But I still remembered, like I'm 15. Like I got so many more years ahead of me. Like anything can happen. I just want to play every day. Like it's the last day I can play hockey. So
touching more on the O, or the Ontario Hockey League. So you've talked about it with some of your coaches, and part of the reasons that you moved around a little bit was just try and get more and more of that hockey information, or that hockey knowledge, right? Like the DMV is not a traditionally hockey hotbed. What are some of the differences up in Canada? Like, or I know that the major junior programs are incredible. Are you guys, getting iPads on the benches? Are they tracking your Corsi? Like, what's going on behind the scenes there?
yeah, so there's a lot of, because I remember I was doing a lot of research before signing with London, and now that I know through my first year, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that nobody sees, and we don't have iPads on the bench, of course, but there's a lot of stuff. They keep track of everything. Like I remember after my first few preseason games, they were telling me how many turnovers I made, and like how many accurate passes I made, how many breakout passes I made, and just they're documenting everything, right? So like
Yeah.
just stuff like that. And there's just a lot of stuff, just in the locker room. It was awesome seeing guys like getting drafted in the first round. We got guys playing in the NHL, getting a few
Yeah, we'll
preseason
touch
games
on
in.
that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But it was just cool to see how champions are, right? Because we have we have the Hunters behind us, and it's just inspiring to see them every day, and it makes you want to be that much better, seeing what they do and what our team does, and just playing in front of the bud.
So touching back on that, like Dale Hunter obviously is a pretty important name for DC hockey. Another recent name for Caps fans to pay attention to, Connor McMichael. Both of those guys being, people that are talked about or excited to be talked about in the DMV. Did any of those guys, come into play with your decision? I know, Dale spent plenty of time in the area, and at that point, before you went, McMichael was drafted, I believe, right? Did that come into play at all? Like, hey, know the area, like, get out of Maryland, come to Canada.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, I did have that background on Dell playing with the Caps. That's somewhat. I don't think it influenced my decision, because even without that background, I probably would have already be super interested in going there. But yeah, Dell did. He lived in DC for many years, right? And Dylan actually played for Little Caps. Our assistant coach, Dell's son, he's my D coach. He played for Little Caps for a while, and he was just telling me stories about how Dell would get in those fights with other parents in the stands when he was playing and stuff like that. But yeah, he was telling me he grew up right, and he remember he went to school. I forgot what school he went to, but we were just talking for a while about Maryland, and it was cool to see that they have background about where I'm from and stuff like that. But touching
Sure.
on McMichael, he was drafted to the Caps after I signed with him. So I was already signed when he was drafted, but it's just cool to see it's an eye opener seeing the guy who's going to be your teammate next year,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, is he hitting you up for tips on where to eat in the area, or?
Yeah.
No, not too much, but he was in Virginia earlier this summer, just
Yeah.
with the Caps though before
Yeah, a
playoffs.
lot of people excited about him. I mean, you get to spend probably every waking day with him. I mean, kind of talk about him a little bit, what kind of guy he is on the ice and the locker room, and then
We're excited for him.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we're
Yeah.
excited, but I mean, or maybe even some funny stories you got with him or about him from up in the
Yeah.
hotel shenanigans.
Yeah, for sure. He's an awesome kid. Like I think the main thing about him is that he's driven. Like every day, like he shows up ready to play. Like you see what separates him. Every shot he takes, he wants to bury that puck, and he's a worker. Like he's got a lot of skill behind it, but he still works. And being with him in the locker room, it's cool to see. It's cool to see what guys like that are all about. He jokes with us a lot too. He's always joking because the rookies, we're
Yeah.
we get made fun of a little bit, but he's awesome though, and I hope nothing but the best for him. And we should see him again this year with us. So
Yeah, it sounds like there's a pretty impressive culture there. You keep referring to, just how things have been done and looking and watching other guys. There's a reason that the London Knights are well known in the hockey community.
yeah, for sure. Like,
But I've got a question. I know that we talked about your commitment and going to major junior. For a lot of our listeners, they don't understand, or they might not know the balance between that. So could you break that down for the common man? The differences and the implications, like going and playing major junior and what that does for your eligibility and.
right. Yeah. So basically, the OHL, if you play in any major junior league in Canada, the WHL, the QMJHL, or the OHL, that terminates your eligibility to play NCAA hockey because you technically are getting paid for the sport
Right.
you're playing. So, I think obviously that's a rule in place that I don't know if it's going to be there much longer, but it's not like we're getting paid $5,000 and
Right.
stuff
You're
like
getting
that
like free
every
school
week.
and some stuff.
Yeah, so like honestly, that's in place, but I still think college hockey and major junior hockey are two different
For
things. So
sure. And
Yeah, that's definitely something that I know that there's very little information on in our area, right? We just got a North American League team 2 years ago, so
right, yeah,
there's definitely a breaking point of information that people get in this area.
yeah.
right, exactly, for sure.
And kind of going back to tough decision making, like I've mentioned before, but that one couldn't have been easy. I mean, knowing that, hey, if I go and do this, there goes Providence, there goes college hockey, and I don't know if like it was a big dream of yours to ever go play college hockey or anything. So, but I can't imagine that one's easy to mull over.
Yeah, for sure. At the end of the day, everybody's goal in hockey, I think, is to play at the highest level they can, but and to have fun. But like for me, at a young age, I was just talking with my agent and my parents, and everybody in my circle I was seen as a pro prospect, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to limit myself to just playing college hockey. And if I can go to a team in a league where it's a feeder for the NHL and I can improve
Right.
myself and be ready for the NHL, which is the end goal for me,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm going to do, right? Like,
Yeah, you're
and
playing
yeah,
60 game seasons versus 20 game seasons. You're practicing like a pro already in those programs. Not to say that Division I's not, but there's something to be said of getting that body used to playing 50, 60 games a year. If the goal for you is to be playing 82 to 100 games a year, right?
exactly. And I have nothing against Division One hockey. It's D1 hockey. It's awesome, right? You're
Yeah.
going to
Absolutely.
college. Yeah, you're going. I have nothing against that. You're going to college for free. You're playing hockey in front of your school. Like that's amazing. But I just
Yeah,
think
and those are some of the intricacies, just like you're saying, Bryce, that the common listener or people in this area, they might not even know that type of thing, right? Like you're going to Canada and you're basically playing a professional schedule.
exactly. It's a real rigid schedule. I'm skating every single day. It's no off days pretty much, and we're on the bus to away games every weekend. We got home games every weekend, and it's tiring, but it's cool to see how a regular pro season is all about. So
I've got a couple more questions, and then we're gonna do a little rapid fire if that's all right.
for
Well,
sure,
actually,
I love
you got
questions.
something, Coach? Here?
I guess one difference is if you would have went the college hockey route, you'd be able to body check this year.
Yeah, that's the question here. Well, that's the $1 million question. Are they like coaching you on this? Or are they just telling you get those feet moving so you're not getting burned? Like, I know that you're someone that's a good skater, and that seems to be at the top. One of your better skills is your skating, right? You focused on it as a young age, or your coach is saying like, "Hey, get ready because you got to be on your feet this year."
Yeah, honestly, I just think that's a ruse. Personally, I don't know if I don't see that happening. I just think that was just a story they wanted to get out.
We'll see what happens when the puck drops, right?
And
seriously, honest.
Accidentally tell me someone against the board who's like, "Oh, are they gonna call me for that?" Or
it's like I heard everybody in the hockey world's talking about that, but I just don't see that happening in our league. Like sounds bizarre to me. So
yeah, fingers crossed. So this is my last O-related question.
no problem.
So I mean, you're a right-handed D-man, and again, for we hopefully we've got some people that are learning as we go here. Right-handed defensemen are a hot commodity. Was your dad a righty? Did he teach you to play righty? Because everywhere else in the world, they want that dominant hand up top. Like you being a right-handed big defenseman. Question A, was that something intentional? And B, you're a good skater, big defenseman, heavy shot. Like who do you model your game after?
Yeah, for sure. So for A, it's not intentional. I'm just right-handed. So like my dad was also right-handed shot too. But my little brother, he's a left-handed shot. So he it's not intentional at all. So
we got to worry about him tearing up the CBHL here and the MAPHL and all that coming up soon.
Oh yeah, well he's done the same thing with me. He's bounced around. He's played on all the same teams I have. So he's played on Metro, Bowie. He played with me in my first year, Bowie. He played up 3 years. So he played Bowie, Metro, Montgomery, Team Maryland, and Little Caps. He's done the same thing as me. He's playing for the Skipjacks this year with the Kersners in New York. So, but yeah, he's doing good. But question B, probably a guy I model myself after. And I'd like to say Seth Jones. A lot of people compare me to him and think we have similar style. And then I'd like to Brent Burns too. I just think we're both. Mainly because of the size, but I think I'm a little more elusive than both those guys.
Okay.
I
was watching the clips. You're not afraid to take it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little end every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I like skating the puck.
So my issue is I'd get all the way down to the other end and just shit. Like what now? I gotta get back, or there's gonna be an odd man rush because Lord knows I'm fumbling this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but probably those two are the two ones I put on the questionnaires, just Seth Jones and Brent Burns. And I like to throw in Victor Hedman too, just because, I like his poise. I think we both have good poise and good puck movers. But those are the big D I usually think of that can skate. So.
We're going to clip that in the day you're in the NHL and come up against Brent Burns or Seth Jones. We'll play the part where you said you think you're more elusive than him. And we'll just start blasting it all over social.
Yeah.
No, that's good. We got him now, right? We got him where we want him here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Bob, I think you got this one, but draft eligible year. I know, Bob, you're real into the whole central scouting report. I mean, coaching juniors and all that. Go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah. So I just big hockey nerd, right? Like I love all levels of hockey. The central scouting report, for people that are unfamiliar, is pretty much like the almanac of your draft year, right? Like in a year that your season's shortened, how important your year is. Is that something you're taking into account and worrying about, or are you just worried about your game? Like it's got to be in the back of your mind, right? Like your end goal is to be in the big leagues. Like where does that come into play in like your preparation? Are there things that happen in that conversation that you're more focused on than others, or are you just focusing on being the best Bryce Montgomery you can?
Yeah. As far as season goes, right now we're at a 40-game season. So it's obviously shortened by 20 games naturally, which is kind of a bummer. But at the end of the day, you can't. It's a pandemic year. You got to focus on what you can do. But if you look at it, we're still playing a regular college season plus playoffs. If you look at that, so we're 40 game season plus playoffs. And honestly, I'm not worried about it because I look on the bright side of things. Like I can do more training, get more training done, work on my off ice stuff, and just get better on the ice as a whole. And yeah, I haven't played any games in a while, but I think it's just I try to look on the bright side of things and just focus on what I can do to get better and prepare before going back up there in January. But
I think it's a great mindset to have for the younger guys, right? Control what you can control and worry about what you can handle and let the chips fall.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I suffer when I worry about stuff I can't control. Like, right. Stupid.
As
stupid
someone
ones.
that constantly lives inside their own head, you don't want to be here, Bryce. Stay out, man.
Right. Exactly. Right.
So like Bob said, we'll rip off some, we'll kind of start to wrap it up here. We appreciate your time, man. We'll rip off some kind of rapid fire questions here. A little, one-timer drill from the blue line, if you would.
Right.
But so let's start with this. You played for pretty much all of them, so you might not hate any of them, but maybe a local club you hated or hated playing against.
Playing against real. Oh, I've never been asked that before.
Yeah, just call out some teams here for us.
Not high school, just regular club teams. Like.
Oh, well,
yeah,
you say not high
teams.
school, like there might be a high
team.
school team that's up there.
Yeah, all right. Honestly, if I had to say high school, probably be Gonzaga. I just hated playing against them. They're always the best team in the league, and it was just frustrating. Just not beating those guys. And plus, they took away the championship for me my first year. But club team though.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's hard to say the club team because I played on every single club team in the area.
You had friends on every
that's
team.
What I'm saying. You probably can't.
Yeah, but
who did we hate, Billman? Let's go with
we'll age ourselves here, but it was always the Chesapeake Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't
a thing when you were playing.
Yeah.
So
they played right at Piney, so it was like right back and forth.
So I gotta ask this. Like again, we're a local podcast. What's the deal with number 58? Was that a here rookie take it, or is that a Letang? Like what's going on there?
No, that was actually my dad's number. He wore that.
Okay. Oh, yeah, so Letang stole his number.
Exactly.
So he's more elusive than Bernsey, and Letang stole his old man's number. Yeah. You got him. Any pregame rituals or superstitions that you partake in, and nothing crazy if it's not, but put gear on the same way, or what's something you have to do on game day?
Honestly, I'm not. I'm going to be blank, but I just got to warm up. I have my own warm up routine I do. So before the whole team warms up, I'll just go upstairs before and do my own warm up. Just because I got to do my specific warm-up drills that I like to do and get me going for the game. But other than that, I'm not that superstitious compared to the rest of the guys on my team, so I just do whatever.
Fair enough. That's like it seems like par for the course. Not in your own head, no superstitions.
Yeah.
Just get after it.
Well, when you do that, you just kind of set yourself up at the beginning anyway. Like, if I don't do this right, I'm already going to have a bad fucking game just by telling yourself that. But here's another good local one for you. Favorite and least favorite rink here in the area, DMV.
I gotta say Piney for the favorite rink.
Okay.
Because I just
pre reconstruction and pre new ice, or
just every part of it. I still think it's awesome. But I feel like Piney's probably the rink I've skated at the most. Just for
that's your home rink.
It's technically Bowie, but I like to think of Piney as that just because I just that's where I've skated the most. I feel like out of all the rinks here, and I've been there a lot through thick and thin for whatever it may be. Taking some dates there.
Hey,
I'm gonna choose to remember that you said Bowie, Bryce. We can clip that, I think.
All right. So he's taking local chicks to the Piney Orchard. Like, what do you want to do? Her first day, it's like, let's go to Piney Orchard.
I know the way that these walls bounce. I know the way the boards bounce here. Best player you've played with or against?
Wait, I gotta say my least favorite.
Yeah, least favorite.
I'm sorry.
Least favorite would probably be. That's actually tough. Because the main rinks.
Shithole.
Yeah, but the main rinks that I go to are Laurel, Piney, Bowie and Rockville. So
You never had to play a game at Wells or anything? Easton? You never had to play at Easton with those bad lights?
Oh no, I'm thinking of Chevy, not Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase, the outdoor?
Yeah, and no, there was another rink. There's another rink that we used to practice at with Team Maryland.
Not Wells.
I don't think it was Wells. I can't
Wells
remember
was
the name of it.
in College Park with like it was like half outdoors.
That's
Had
Wells,
no
yeah.
walls, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I'll just say Rockville just because I hate the drive.
Yeah,
Rockville rink. Well, to be fair, too, Rockville rink 3 is by far the coldest rink you can play in.
Yeah, and I hate that drive. I feel like the drive just sucks the life out of me. So
I skipped a question. That's my bad, Bryce. So, coach that's made the biggest impact on your development. I mean, you had your dad, you had Macaulay, you've got the Hunter brother or the Hunter family. Like, that's some tough company.
yeah, honestly, you guys don't know him, but I want to. As of now, it's the Hunter brothers, but the coach that's made the biggest impact on my development has been Nolan Howell. Just he was our coach for ISIS Kings when I was 13. He's Gordie Howe's grandson, Mark Howe's son, and he was one of the guys who always believed in me when I wasn't my best, and he always told me, I'm a great player, and I just got to keep working on these things. And I was with him for 3 years, and I feel like he's one of the crucial reasons that I'm where I'm at today. So, but also too, the Hunter brothers, also because just seeing those guys and what they do for all of us is just incredible. Like Dell could easily be retired, and just be set and just do his own thing. And he's still showing up to the rink every day, 5 a.m, 6 a.m, doing video, working with all of us out there with the team, and even Dylan Hunter and Rick Stedman and our whole staff. Like, they're just all workhorses, and they inspire me to be better every day. So.
And then last one, like Bob mentioned, best player you've been on the ice with, whether same team against, because I mean you can take a couple things into consideration there. Obviously, you're in the O now, and you're playing with draft picks and future NHLers. I mean, we mentioned Takis at the beginning of the show. He's become a hell of a goalie. Team US camp, you name it.
Oh, geez. I mean, that's actually this one player. That's kind of rough because
I mean, you give us a top 3. Give us a top 3.
In no particular order.
No particular order, so we can't clip that either.
Geez. I play with a lot of players, like throughout just the whole world,
But, rub it
in. I'll probably say Liam Foodie from my team. He's playing in the NHL now. He was playing in playoffs with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he was probably one of the better players I've ever played with. Jeez, that's rough.
I mean, you have a hard time keeping track of them all, man. You're playing with new guys every year.
I could easily pick all the guys from my team.
You could put together an all-star team of just kids that you've played with.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I could easily say Ryan Merkley from my team, and I could say Connor McMichael. Like those guys were just incredible to watch.
3 first-round picks. That's
the Caps.
Yeah, that's 3 first-round picks. I think that's a good answer, Bryce. I think that's a safe answer.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, that's my answer. So.
I'd say keep the locker room happy too with that one.
Yeah,
exactly. You can't go back and be like, oh, so we got this list. We back a couple weeks ago, and we want to talk to you about it a bit, even though you're not a rookie anymore.
Yeah.
But love it, man. Well, Bryce, man, we appreciate you coming on, man. Safe travels back to Ontario and everything. Hope you have a hell of a year, man. It's gonna be interesting. Hopefully you can adjust to the whole non-body checking nonsense and the shortened season and put together a hell of a year and really up that draft stock a good bit.
Exactly. Well, thank you guys for having me so much. It was an honor being on here. So
yeah, best of luck, Bryce. We'll be tracking you, buddy.